Hey, what's going on, guys? Trevor here. Welcome back to another video. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to invest in the stock market for beginners. Whether you're an absolute beginner or you're just newer to investing, I'm going to create not only this video, but an entire series to hopefully help you guys out. I spent a lot of time this past weekend actually going through my Instagram, going through all the questions that you guys submitted for me to talk about on this video series that I'm going to be planning on doing here. I think it's going to be extremely helpful for you. Now understand, I'm probably not going to get into every video or topic that you guys want me to talk about in this series. There was a lot of submissions, but I did my best to highlight the most important things I want you guys to talk about. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about, investing in the stock market for beginners. And I'm going to highlight I got about 6 things on here that I really want to highlight for you guys. But again, I'm going to make this probably a 5 to 6 video part series, and kind of how, personally I learned how to invest, and things I think are very, very valuable for you to know, whether you are just starting out in the stock market or you've been around for a little bit of time and you want to learn more about it. Okay, so be sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of these videos. I personally believe these are going to be very, very important. So if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Please consider hitting that like button. If you get any value from these videos whatsoever, I would really, really appreciate that. So as always, guys, I include the layout for every single video that I do, as well as timestamps if you want to jump around. I will include the timestamps, but I highly recommend, if you're an absolute beginner, you try to watch all these videos all the way through. I just think it's in your best interest. Okay, so let's get into the layout. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about here today is why stocks. Before we start in the stock market, I want you guys to understand, why should we even be considering entering into the stock market, right? You've heard it's risky, you've heard it's rigged, you've heard all the things, you could possibly heard about the stock market, right? So I want you guys to understand why stocks. Why do we want to get involved in the stock market? Second thing that I want you guys to understand is, what are stocks? A lot of people, need to know what exactly are stocks, before they start buying stocks. So I think that's very, very important to understand as well. Third thing is, how do we make money with stocks? How do we make money in the stock market? There's going to be 2 ways I really want to highlight today. There's a variety of different ways that you can make money in the stock market, but in today's video, I want to highlight 2 very, very important ways, and very common ways actually, that you make money in the stock market, because that's our end goal, right? So number 4 is going to be 2 very simple ways to buy stocks. I'm going to show you the traditional way, and I'm also going to show you a newer feature. It's been around for a little bit of time, but a newer feature that actually allows you to buy stocks much cheaper, also allows you to diversify your portfolio a little bit more if you want to diversify your portfolio. I think that's going to be a very important section as well. Number 5, how much money does it take to start? This is a very, very common question I get all the time. How much money do I have to start in the stock market? Is there a certain amount that's required? I'm going to do my best to address what I personally think you should shoot for and how I feel overall about this topic. So very important section there as well. And lastly, I want to wrap up here with some things I want you to keep in mind in this first video here today. I'm just going to be leaving you with a couple things that I think are very important as we move forward in this beginner series. So that is going to be the layout for today's video. Understand, I will be putting in the timestamps, but I do believe that you should watch this video all the way through to get the most value out of it. Also understanding that I'm not a financial advisor. I just love to create videos to try to help people and bring awareness to investing in the stock market, because if this dummy can do it at all, I really want to share with other people, the basics of how to do it, because I think it's something that everybody should know how to do. Not everybody does it. We know that. So good job for being here and taking interest in investing in the stock market. Hopefully I provide you guys some value. And if I can just make you feel a little bit more confident when it comes to starting out in the stock market, then I have done my job with this video series. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you get any value from it, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we're going to be doing in this series, and also hitting that like button. It would really help out my channel as well. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get into it. So the first section of today's video is going to be talking about why stocks. Why should you invest in the stock market in the first place? I can personally tell you why I started. Why I started was I wanted to learn how to make my money work for me. So I literally Googled that, how to make my money work for me, right? A bunch of different things popped up. Real estate investing, right? Starting a business, stock market investing. And basically why I decided to do stock market investing was because the barrier to entry was very, very low. I looked into real estate investing, I looked into starting a business, and generally you needed much more capital to start out those things. Now I know there's probably ways around it, right? But generally those were more expensive to start. So the barrier to entry for me at a young age, around 18, 19 or so, when I wanted to start, was very, very low. So I said, okay, I just need to get started with $100 or so, and I can build this over time and learn how to do it. That was one of the main reasons I decided to invest in the stock market. So in addition to a lower barrier of entry when it comes to entering into the stock market, I also realized, man, the opportunity is here, right? The opportunity is really in investing in the stock market for me personally at that age, because the information to learn how to do everything was all around me. Whether it be free YouTube videos, whether it be buying courses, whether it's reading books, whether it's watching CNBC, there was so much information regarding around, the economy and the stock market, individual stocks. I said, okay, I just personally have to take the time to learn how to do this, devote a little bit extra time outside of school and outside of, other things. The opportunity to develop my own strategy and learn from other people and implement this into investing and then ultimately get infinite returns, right? Some stocks, they don't return as well, right? Some stocks go bankrupt. Some stocks do extremely well, and some stocks just, get the average return that the S&P 500 gets, right? So there's a variety of returns that you can get. There's a big window of opportunity, and it really just depends on how much you do your research and how well you are, how much work you put into researching companies and the kind of stocks that you buy, right? There's a lot of things that factor into, how well you do when it comes to investing in the stock market. Another major reason that I decided to invest in the stock market was because you can do everything from your phone or your laptop or your desktop, right? And that's including all the research that you want to do as well. You can do it all online. Everything is on your phone or your laptop or whatever, right? I think that's super convenient. The information is there. It's just up to you to go out and get it and to get educated on it. So that's a very quick summary of why I decided to invest in the stock market and maybe some of the reasons why you might want to do that as well. So if we move on to what are stocks, I want you to think of a stock as essentially buying a piece of a business. You are buying ownership in a company. Now you are a very small, you own a very small portion of this company, but essentially guys, you are buying a piece of a business. Now, it's important for you guys to know as well that not all companies are publicly traded, okay? Not all companies you're able to buy stock in. Some companies are private, and we'll get into that in another video. But there is a lot of options to choose from when investing in public companies. Now, companies offer partial ownership in their business in what is called shares, or you can think of this as shares of stock. So that is what a stock is in simple terms, guys. And the stock market is just where these buys and sells take place. So how do you make money with stocks? This is one of the most important sections, obviously, in this video. The first way that we can do this, guys, is through capital appreciation or capital gains. This is essentially buying low and selling high, right? Think about it. If you decide to buy, let's say you buy a Microsoft stock for $100, and then 2 years later that stock goes to $400, right? Well, you made a profit of $300. You bought it at $100 and you sold it at $400. You have capital gains of $300 there, and then you're going to be taxed on, those $300, which we'll get into taxes later on as well, right? Another way that we can make money in the stock market is through dividend income. So if you guys do not know what dividends are, basically some companies, not all publicly traded companies, but some companies actually pay you to hold their stock. Now, the actual definition of a dividend is basically a distribution of profits by a corporation to its shareholders. So basically what this is saying is some of these companies, their profits, they actually take some of those profits and they pay them to their shareholders in the form of dividends. Okay, so it's really cool if you're holding these stocks that pay dividends. You're actually going to be paid every single quarter. Maybe it's every single month. Maybe it's once a year, twice a year. There's different ways that you can be paid with dividend stocks, but it's really cool to actually, make money on top of, actual capital appreciation or capital gains, because this is going to be my next point here is you can do both. You don't have to just, invest in just dividend stocks and, not do anything else. You can actually make money both ways. You can get dividends and you can appreciate that capital appreciation like we just talked about. It's a very cool way to actually make money in the stock market. Now, these are just two very basic ways when it comes to making money in the stock market. There's many different ways that you can do it, but these are probably the most common that I've personally seen and the two that I want you to be aware of in today's video. So let's take a look at an example here. We're going to take a look at my Apple position here. This is a stock that I was buying heavily at the end of 2018. I felt this stock was very undervalued, and we saw the stock fall from $55 to around $38 or so. Now keep in mind, guys, this stock recently just did a 4-to-1 stock split here about a month ago, and that's why you're seeing these low numbers on the share price here. But not only has Apple given me a total return of 107%, they also pay me a dividend every single quarter just for holding these shares. Now, looking at a couple examples here, you can see Apple has paid me a couple times recently with a payments of $77 and payments of $82. So again, Apple pays me every single quarter. That's 4 times a year. Some companies pay every single month. It really just depends on the company. It varies from company to company, all right? Again, though, make sure that you guys understand that just because a company pays a dividend does not mean it's going to be sustainable. A lot of companies actually had to decrease or slash their dividends altogether throughout the pandemic that we recently had and are currently still in, right? So this doesn't mean that Apple will continue to pay this dividend, but there's things that you can look at to kind of ensure that they're going to have a steady dividend payment. We can get into that in another video as well. But I would be very, very hesitant, guys, of just buying stocks just because of the dividend. It sounds awesome, but there's definitely some research that needs to be done before just buying stocks because of the dividend, all right? So many different things you can do with those dividend payments as well. Those $82, those $77 payments that I was getting every single quarter, I have a lot of options as to what to do with that money, and that's going to be what we're going to get into in the next couple videos of this series. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. That's going to be very, very important. Now I want to get into 2 very simple ways to buy stocks. We're going to go into that traditional way that I was talking about, and we're also going to go into that newer way that I think is going to help a lot of you beginner investors out there. So you're going to have to download a brokerage to start this, okay? Now, personally, guys, I use Robinhood. Now, I use Robinhood because it's $0 commission trades, and it was very, very simple to use and understand when I first started. I found it to be, very, very beginner friendly, all right? So if we log on to my portfolio here, you can see your account balance for the past week, the past month, the past 3 months, the past year, and an all-time gains or losses for your account. Now, if we move over to the right here, we can see the options in the stocks that we own. And if we click on one of our stocks, it shows us all the basic information like your average cost, your market value, what percentage of your portfolio is made up of this stock, as well as your gains or losses for the day, as well as all time. Now also, you get to customize your watch list as well, which I find super, super helpful. Now, it's not like you just have to use Robinhood. It's just a brokerage that I'm the most familiar with, but there is a ton of different brokerages out there that you can choose from. Another one that you might want to consider is WEBULL. I know a lot of people love this brokerage as well. I'm newer to this one, so I'll have to do a comparison video here pretty soon. But all of these links for these brokerages will be in the description below if you are interested in signing up. So let's get into the 2 main ways to buy or sell stocks on your brokerage here. So from our dashboard, if we want to buy a stock, we simply just search it up here at the top. Let's say we want to buy Walmart stock. We would just type in Walmart, and over on the right hand side here, we can see that we can invest in shares, meaning you will be paying the price you see over here on the left that Walmart is currently trading at. So currently Walmart is trading at $135 per share, and if we want to buy 1 share, we simply put the number 1 in this box here, then hit review order, and then boom, we just bought a share of Walmart. Now understand, you own a very small portion of Walmart Corporation here, but still super cool to be a part of that. Now, the second way that we can do this, guys, is through fractional shares with Robinhood. Now, I'm not sure exactly what brokerages offer this, but I know Robinhood does, and I think it's a great way for newer investors to get started if you decide to use this feature. So you might not have access to Robinhood fractional shares right now, and if you don't, be sure to watch this video that I made talking about what fractional shares are and how to enable this feature on Robinhood. So going back to the tab Invest In, we're going to switch that to invest in dollars. So let's say we want to buy Walmart stock here, but we don't want a full share of Walmart here at $135. We can buy, let's say, $50 worth of Walmart stock. Now we need to understand that this $50 will get us exactly 0.368867 of 1 share, right? So we don't own 1 share, we own a fraction of 1 share, currently at 0.368867 of 1 share. Then you will do the same thing here. Just hit review order. And just like we talked about, it'll let you know that you are not buying a full share. You're buying a fraction of 1 share. And boom, you hold fractional shares in Walmart. Now, why do we do this? What is the point of investing in fractional shares? Well, first off, you guys need to understand that you don't have to do this, okay? It's just an option that, some brokerages allow you to use. So some of the reasons why you might want to consider doing this, guys, is because it allows you to get started investing with much less capital. If you have $50 to invest and you want to own Walmart stock, you can, right? You don't have to come up with $135 or the current share price of Walmart. You can literally invest, $25, $50 into Walmart stock. So it allows you to get started. That's one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people like to use fractional shares with Robinhood or with, any other brokerage. Now, the second reason that you might consider doing this is maybe the share price is currently over your budget. Maybe you cannot afford right now the current share price of a stock that you want to buy. Some stocks, guys, are just absolutely insanely expensive, and you might not be able to buy a piece of this corporation even though you might want to because the share price is just so high. Well, now you can use fractional shares and you can invest in little as $1 into these shares. But again, understanding you own a very, very small percentage of this company, all right? So those are some of the reasons that you might want to use fractional shares and some of the ways that we can buy and sell stock. So I hope this is making sense, guys. If I need to clarify any questions at all, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to respond to all of your questions. I really want to make sure that I'm making sense on this first video of this series, all right? So next section is how much money do you need to start in the stock market? This is such a common question that has so many different answers, depending on who you talk to. Well, understand, guys, that we have $0 commissions. Pretty much all the brokerages now do not charge per trade. Traditionally, or in the past, right, you had to pay every time you bought, anytime you sold a stock. It can be from as low as like $5. I've seen it as high as, $19 or $20 per trade. So understanding that most brokerages do not even charge you when it comes to buying or selling stocks, I think it's super important because that goes back to what I talked about why I started in the beginning. The barrier to entry is that much lower to get started into investing. And now with fractional shares, guys, you can invest in little as $1 into a stock, right? So you can literally get started with $1. You're not even going to be paying commissions. So that takes the amount of money to get started, it takes it down a ton, all right? So when it comes to how much I personally believe you should start with, it really, really just depends, guys. It's different for everybody, right? Understand this, that most people don't even start. Most people don't even start because they say they have $100, $500, $1,000, and they don't think that's enough to get started, so they don't start at all. And that's something that I want to make sure that you guys don't do. I don't want you to be like most people. I want you to say, okay, maybe I have $100. Let's say, I personally recommend if you can at least get $100 transfer into your brokerage account and get started that way, I say you do that. I think it's better than not starting at all. So, just starting and putting money in your brokerage account is the very first step. My first trades, guys, were around $500 to $600. Now, obviously, I've put in more money since then, but that's what I could afford at that moment was, okay, I have $600 to invest. I'm going to start doing that. And I literally bought one stock and I built from there. And that's just what it is, guys. You have to understand that it really comes down to what amount of money are you comfortable putting in the stock market, guys. That's what it really comes down to. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different amount of money that they can allocate per month, per week, or per year into investing. Obviously, the goal is to get that up. I would highly recommend that you write down, okay, I can put in $200 a month, but I'm going to shoot for trying to put in $500 a month, right? I really want you guys to try to challenge yourself and say, okay, this is where it comes down to really understand your expenses too. I really recommend writing down your income and writing down your expenses, learning where you can kind of, take more money out of expenses and put more money into investments, because this is where this is going to be very, very important. Try to contribute monthly amount every single month, whether it's $100, $50, $200, whatever it is. I think contributing every single month and putting in a certain amount of money will definitely help you build that portfolio. So when it comes to how much money you should have to get started, I recommend, guys, anywhere from at least $100 or so. Just put it in the brokerage. It doesn't even mean you have to start investing in it. Just get that ball rolling with starting out to invest. I think that is very, very important. And then you work your way up, and then you learn ways to increase your income, create multiple sources of income, decrease your expenses, and then we go from there. So the first step is literally just depositing money in that brokerage account, which most people never even do as well. So I want you guys to start out with that. Don't start because you don't have enough money. With fractional shares and $0 commission trades, there's really no excuse not to get started, right? The information that you can learn is pretty much endless nowadays on the internet. So things I want you to keep in mind throughout this, or towards the end of this video, that I want to leave you with here is this takes time and this takes patience. Okay, this is not a get-rich-quick thing that you're going to experience overnight. You might get lucky with some stocks, right? You've heard of a lot of people that made money, a lot of money overnight, short-term day trading, whatnot, and it's definitely possible. But personally, what I'm going to be teaching here on this channel is long-term investing, and what that's going to require is time and patience. Okay, so this is what I've learned from a lot of different people, and this is what I've implemented in my own investing strategy, and this is the one that I love to talk about the most. So just understand, guys, this is going to take time and patience. It's not going to be a get-rich-quick kind of thing. I'm not going to try to sell you on, some course and I'm going to make you a ton of money overnight. It's just not what I'm going to be doing here on YouTube. So another thing I want you to understand is while I want you to start, don't rush this process. If you're not in a position to invest, maybe you have a ton of debt, maybe you're just not really wanting to invest right now, don't rush this process, but take the steps to get started. Okay, maybe it's just downloading a brokerage today. You say next week I'm gonna deposit my first $100 or whatever. Don't rush this process and do not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, I don't want to make that sound like we're gambling here, but don't put in money that you might need to pay for rent or it's your emergency fund money or whatnot, right? We don't want to invest money that we potentially will need, because basically what we're going to be talking about in these next couple of videos is the money that we're going to be investing, we're not going to be touching for probably a pretty long time. Even the money that we're going to be making, I don't necessarily want you guys to take that money out in the market. I want you to reinvest it, okay? So don't invest money that you're going to be needing, and don't rush this process. I want you to start, but don't rush the process if you're not ready, okay? Educate yourself, continue watching YouTube videos, continue reading books, watching, CNBC, whatever it is, taking courses and learning, and then you can kind of get started. But I don't want you guys to get stuck in the analysis paralysis of investing. You just have to start, you learn as you go, you take calculated risks, and you learn from other people, all right? Next thing is, this is not for everyone. Investing in the stock market is not for everyone, and typically I'm going to be talking about investing in individual stocks on this channel. Investing in individual stocks is not for everyone. There's a lot of different ways that you can invest in the stock market. We can do, index funds, we can do ETFs, we can trade options, we can do bonds. There's a bunch of different things that we can do in the stock market. What I personally talk about the most is investing in individual stocks, which is not for everyone. Sometimes it requires a lot of time, there's a little bit more risk involved, but the greater potential reward is there. But you need to understand that, if you don't want to invest in individual stocks, you don't have to. I just recommend buying an index fund or an ETF at that point. But pretty much what I'm going to be teaching here as far as how to invest in the stock market for beginners is going to be mainly focused on investing in individual stocks. If you guys want me to do a video on index funds or other forms of investments within the stock market, I totally can. Just let me know in the comments what you guys kind of want to see. So last thing I want to talk about here today is don't buy stocks because other people are buying stocks, okay? Like other people on YouTube here buying stocks, if you see them buying, don't just buy what they're buying. And here's why, guys. A lot of people say, well, if they believe in that stock, that means it should go up and I should make money and all that stuff. And what I have to say to that is these people that are buying stocks, whether it's people on YouTube, whether it's people on CNBC, whether it's your uncle, your aunt, whatever, basically their risk tolerance is much different than yours generally, right? Maybe they have more cash available on the sidelines than you do. Maybe they have a higher risk tolerance than you're comfortable with, right? Maybe they are investing for the short term and you're investing for the long term, and they're planning on making a swing trade, or vice versa, right? There's so many different ways that there's so many different reasons why people are investing in certain stocks, and it might be different from the reasons that you would want to be investing in the stock market. So be aware that just because somebody's buying a stock does not mean that you should buy it. And that's just one of the main reasons I can tell you, right? Not even going to be going into that we haven't done any research. We don't understand anything about the business. It's literally gambling at that point. And I really want to make sure you guys are not gambling in the stock market, because that's how we, lose a lot of money. So those are some things I want you guys to keep in mind as we move forward in this video series here today. Again, I'm going to be doing probably about 5 to 6 videos in total talking about investing in the stock market for beginners. So if you guys get any value from today's video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Please consider hitting that like button as well. It would really help me let me know that you guys are getting value from this series that I'm going to be doing here as well. Any other video ideas that you guys would want me to have or want me to talk about, please let me know in the comments below. I have a general idea of the structure that I'm going to be doing for these next couple of videos, but if there's any comments or any videos you guys really want me to touch on moving forward, please let me know in the comments, and I can definitely make that happen in future videos. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you got a little bit of value out of this first episode today. Remember, we're going to come out with episode 2 in a couple days here we're going to be focused mainly on how to actually invest in or find stocks for beginners, how to find stocks to invest in for beginners. I think that's going to be very, very helpful. We're going to be talking about developing your strategy, how much cash versus investments that you should have. Very, very important stuff when it comes to investing in the stock market. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.